Alan here with Dusty Hikers. Today I'm going to talk to you about a shoe that everyone is just raving about. Lots of people that review hiking shoes have found this to be like the best hiking shoe recently that's come out from any manufacturer. And today my question is this shoe really worth all of that hype? Well, I can tell you that I did testing with this shoe against 4 other shoes, and this shoe actually won this year. So let's get into it. This is the Salomon X Ultra 4. It's the latest in the X Ultra series, which is a flagship series for Salomon. And I can tell you this is an amazing shoe. So this year I focused on 4 different characteristics: comfort, stability, protection, and traction. The Salomon X Ultra 4 did extremely well on stability, protection, and traction, and it also is decent in comfort. So first off, for stability, what I did was I just went hiking in all of the shoes. So I've spent about 25 to 30 miles in each shoe hiking on trails here in Tuscany, and I just sort of take notes on how the shoes react to different types of terrain, whether I'm off trail or just hiking on trails, how they feel underfoot. So for stability, this shoe actually took the top spot. This is a super lightweight hiking shoe that has every single feature that you would want in a hiking shoe. It has great protection. It has advanced features to kind of lock your foot in place. And this shoe really, for stability, really rose above the rest. There's 2 things about the shoe that I really like. One is the advanced chassis system from Salomon. You can probably see that right there, ADVE/C. It's a midsole to sole system that provides just extremely good lateral stability. I always felt like I was just locked onto the terrain and that my foot was importantly locked inside the shoe. Some of the other shoes I tested, I felt like my heel was kind of slipping around as there was like torque placed on the shoe when I was on different types of terrain. And with this shoe, I never felt that. That advanced chassis system combined with this active support strap really provides a great lockdown system for your foot without providing any added stress to your foot. It's a super lightweight hiker, and so to have that kind of lockdown is remarkable. Another test that I did this year was protection. So obviously just hiking on trails, I just sort of note whether I feel like my foot is at risk for bumping into rocks and things like that. As hiking footwear has moved away from sort of your classic alpine leather boot to shoes like this that really the uppers are primarily mesh, protection has become an increasingly important aspect of hiking footwear design. The Salomon X Ultra 4 has this really beefy rubber toe cap, which you can see there, which provides excellent protection for your toe. The uppers, you know, they're mesh. In fact, I don't know if you can see that, but you can actually see right through the mesh, which actually for ventilation is great. So the upper, you know, you're always going to be a little bit exposed in that case. One of the tests that I did was for protection underfoot. So I just put a different shoe on each foot and I do 10 rounds of testing. So each shoe head to head with the other shoes. The Salomon X Ultra 4 did very well in that. So what I do is I step on a stone with each shoe and then just compare which one provides better protection, AKA doesn't seem to allow the stone to put as much pressure on the bottom of my foot. The Salomon X Ultra 4 is completely adequate for protection. It didn't win that competition. The shoe that won was the Adidas Terrex Swift R3, which has a Continental compound, which is very, very rigid and super hard. And so obviously you're not gonna feel rocks as much. The other shoe that beat this was the North Face Vective Explorus with Futurelight. And I think the reason why that shoe won over this shoe is simply because of the rockered sole design that the North Face went with. And it's just very thick. So there's a lot of midsole and a lot of sole there that just provides a lot of cushion or barrier between your foot and the trail. But all in all, I would say these shoes provide excellent protection. I think that these shoes could work for just your average weekend hiker, but I think that they could also work really well for an extended backpacking trip. And so the next time I go on one of those, I'm probably gonna take these because they are by far the best shoe I tested this year. Hey, you're still here with me. You've outperformed most other people that come to this video. If you want to support my channel, the best way that you could do that right now is to actually subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. It'll take you 2 seconds. I am so close to 1,000 subscribers. I can taste it. Hopefully by the time you're watching this video, I've already hit that. The other thing that you could do is just hit like on this video and that will help the YouTube algorithm. Finally, I have links in the description for this shoe. So if you want to support me that way, you can purchase this shoe through that link. I also have a blog post on this shoe. So if you're more into reading about this, there's a little bit more in-depth information in there on the components that went into this, and also there's head-to-head testing data against the other shoes that I tested. Okay, another test that I did this year was traction. In the past, I've done grip, which is slightly different. If you're interested in the difference between traction and grip, you can check out my blog. I have an entire blog post about how these two aspects for shoes are different and why they're both so important. Okay, traction was also a head-to-head competition. I put a different shoe on each foot, and then I scampered up as quickly as I could up this steep hill that was basically just dirt and loose debris. This shoe has the Contagrip compound, which is proprietary for Salomon, which in the past, when I tested it for grip on just a smooth surface against other shoes, it didn't do as well as Vibram, and it also didn't even do as well as Quantum Grip from Merrell. But on traction, I can say that these shoes performed extremely well. The only shoe that they lost to, again, was the Adidas Terrex Swift R3. But again, that Continental compound is extremely rigid, and it has fairly deep lugs, maybe even deeper than these. And so it just chews up terrain. I mean, the Adidas Terrex Swift R3 is really built for getting traction on all kinds of loose surfaces. But this shoe performed very well. It beat 3 of the other shoes, and it has very good chevron lugs, which are shaped sort of cupping this way as you're trying to move forward, and then on the heel, obviously it's in the opposite direction. So for traction, these are above average and very, very good. All right, so the last thing I want to talk about for the Salomon X Ultra 4 is comfort and weight. This shoe does extremely well in both of those. This shoe comes in at 14.81 ounces, or just 420 grams, a little bit less. This is a US size 12 men's, obviously. And I think for all of the features that this shoe has, which has everything that you would want on a hiking shoe, that's a very, very good weight. It looks beefy and bulky, but actually this is a very, very lightweight hiker. This is the non-Gore-Tex version, and I think that this shoe could be a great shoe also for the summer hiking. If it's hot, this is a shoe that's very, very ventilated, and you're gonna be pleasantly surprised. I think that the one downside, if I can critique this shoe in any way, it's that it's not the most comfortable shoe of the shoes that I tested. Now, I do want to be very clear, it is not an uncomfortable shoe. It's just Salomon goes with this sort of minimalist cushion in the sole. It doesn't have a super reactive midsole. It does have some give, but there are other shoes that are more comfortable. But again, this is not an uncomfortable shoe. One thing I was pleasantly surprised about this shoe is that it fit my foot. In the past, when I've tested Salomon shoes, they either were too tight in the midfoot or even too tight in the forefoot. This shoe seems to have solved all of those problems, and it's a shoe that I think is going to fit a lot of feet. The other thing that's really interesting about Salomon is this quick lace system. So you just pull this down, and then you can tuck it up inside of this pouch here in the tongue. Some people might be put off by this, but I can tell you that this shoe does not come untied. And another complaint could be that if you're really interested in like getting a fine tuning on your lacing, you're not going to be able to do that with this quick lace system. But I found the system to be great and to work perfectly. Okay, final thoughts. I think this shoe is the best shoe of the year for sure, and a lot of other people agree with me. Again, it does everything extremely well above average for protection, traction, and stability. Most notably stability, which is really, I think at the end of the day, one of the most important aspects of a hiking shoe, and that's what kind of separates normal shoes from hiking shoes. So if you're gonna go backpacking, even with a heavy backpack, I think this is a shoe that you should consider. If you want to go with a low top, I think my only complaint about this shoe is that they could make it slightly more comfortable. Just because compared to other shoes, there's a little bit more padding for the bottom of your foot. Over long distances, this shoe may not be the most comfortable shoe out there on the market. All right, I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one.